Hello everybody, I'm Michael, and today I'm going to be going over some tips and tricks on how to complete the new Heroic Menagerie activity, which was just released today on Reset just a few hours ago. That's why this video was late. I just wanted to make sure that I got through this activity and was able to kind of think about some thoughts and stuff that I went through while I was completing this activity with my clanmates. We did run this with a full stack of 6 of us, so a full group. It does not matchmake like normal Menagerie, which I think is pretty good because there definitely are some moments where you definitely want to have some nice communication, because otherwise it does get a bit dicey because all the enemies do a lot of damage. Because the activity goes from 750, it starts at 750 and then goes all the way to 770. So even if you're at max light, like most of the people in this clip are, that you'll still be underlevel compared to a lot of the enemies in the end. Like you'll see in this boss fight that there are a lot of enemies that have the shield just the sword next to their name, so it's just kind of a little bit more difficult because all the enemies do a lot more damage. So in this clip, once again, it was 6 of us. We were all communicating, which definitely helped out. I don't know how long this would have taken without communication, because there were definitely a few things that happened that just kind of needed to be communicated. A lot of the things have not changed. Most of the activities, we only had 2 activities in this one. We ended up doing the Gauntlet, and we were just able to use the glitch using the grenade launcher, and we were just able to fly through that pretty quickly. Normally we wouldn't glitch things like that just because we wanted to experience it the first time, but a few of our clanmates had to leave pretty quick, so we just wanted to make sure we could get through it. And getting through the Gauntlet completely is fairly difficult, especially on the heroic mode, since so many of the enemies do so much damage. This week, for the modifiers, there's Iron, Blackout, Void Sends, and Extinguish, and that means that if your fire team, everybody dies, that you get returned back to orbit, which is definitely a scary thought, because in normal Menagerie, if everybody dies, it's not a big deal, you just kind of respawn in a few seconds. And also in this activity, you have the problem of having a respawn countdown that's really long. It's just like a Nightfall Strike where you have a little bit of time in between where somebody can revive you. So there's a kind of a 10-second countdown after you die, and then once that 10 seconds is up, you can be revived by somebody else, but you can't respawn for about another 20 seconds. There are no raid tokens or anything, no revive tokens, anything like that, so you can revive people as many times as you want, just as long as everybody stays alive, you do not get returned to orbit. Next, I'm going to go over loadout choices and what I think are probably the most optimal for just getting through this as quick as possible and being able to do a lot of damage to the boss. As you can see in this clip, I've just provided the clip of our final boss fight because the rest of it was fairly similar to the normal completion of the Menagerie. There's nothing new. We got crystals and Gauntlet, as I mentioned earlier, and we just kind of went through those like normal, and it didn't take a whole lot of time. We were able to get through both of those and then get to the boss, but the boss is a little bit more difficult because all of the enemies are a lot higher light. In all of these clips, I will be using tractor cannon, and the only reason is because I got really unlucky and was not able to get a Storm of the Raven with spike nades when Iron Banner came around this time. I opened 60 something packages and I just could not get one. I got a few Swarm of the Ravens, but none of them had the perk that I wanted with spike nades. I didn't really care about any of the other perks, but I didn't get spike nades, so that is pretty unfortunate. But the rest of my clanmates were lucky and were able to get a Swarm of the Raven with spike nades, so I just ran tractors so that they would be able to do a lot more damage to all the bosses and enemies. And I also kind of enjoy tractor because whenever you get a kill or just damage an enemy, you are able to go a little bit faster, and the weapon handles better for a little bit, and I really like that. I think the weapon looks really cool. I like how whenever you shoot it, the barrel kind of rotates and it's kind of charging up, and the little fire that comes out is really nice too. But I was really enjoying using this. Most of the people on my team were warlocks. I think we had 5 warlocks all running well. I think somebody might have switched to Voidwalker right at the end for dealing with ads, and then we had 1 hunter who was running tether. I would definitely recommend having at least 1 tether going into this, because there are a lot of ads that spawn in the center during the boss fight, and that is a big issue if you do not have a tether. But otherwise, loadouts are fairly free. I'd recommend grenade launchers just because they are insanely good right now, and it is a great option to use for just kind of anything. They're fairly good at ad clear because they have a nice bit of splash damage, but then they're just insane for boss damage, and especially once you get somebody with a tractor cannon or a melting point or something, they do even more damage. I definitely recommend also having a tractor, so maybe if somebody doesn't have the spike nade Swarm of the Raven, then they can run that just so you have somebody with it. But other than that, loadouts are fairly free. I was was using Recluse, and I just before this activity got a Go Figure with Outlaw and Rampage. This has been the role that I was searching for since Forsaken launched, I mean almost a year ago, and I've really been enjoying it. I've just I haven't masterworked it or anything yet just because I wanted to try it out before I did anything with it, but it's really been fun, and any strong primary will work here. Overall, I really enjoyed the Heroic Menagerie. I thought it was significantly more difficult than the normal Menagerie, which I was definitely hoping for. Bungie's, all of their notes about it made it seem a little bit more difficult than it actually was. At least for our clan, we were able to get through it pretty quickly, but all of their tweets about how Extinguish would be active, and if you failed any of the 7 events, or all 7 of the events, then you'd be returned to orbit. And so I was kind of nervous going into this because I was expecting it to just be everything was going to be 770 from the start, but it was nothing like that. I definitely think that most teams that are communicating should be able to get to the boss in maybe a maximum of 5 events, and it probably won't even take that long. The events aren't any different from what we've been able to gather. There aren't any new mechanics. As I mentioned in one of my previous videos, I was really hoping that for the crystals event, we would have different element crystals, maybe the arc and the solar crystals, but unfortunately we did not see that. But other than that, there weren't any real changes based on what we saw. So finally, I'm just going to go over the loot that you can expect to get from the final chest of the Menagerie Heroic Edition. So from defeating the boss as a drop, just that appears over on your side screen, you can get the sword. You've probably seen it in the collections. It's just the redone version of the first sword that your character ever got. So there's different ones for each class, but you only really need to get one to complete your collection, as long as that's on your main character with all your other stuff. And it is a fairly low drop rate. Only one person in our fire team of 6 got it. And additionally, whenever you open the chest for the first time, you will get a fully masterworked whatever you put in. I'm not sure if this works for armor. Nobody in our group got armor. A few people got weapons, and every single person got a masterworked weapon, and I'll have to wait till next week to test the armor and see if that works or not. But if you do want a good roll on a weapon, I definitely make sure that was your first rune that you put in and were able to unlock, so that you get the nice masterworked version. Or if you don't need a new masterworked version, just put in whatever you want and you'll get some masterwork cores from it, which is always good. And finally, the last loot drop that really kind of matters is the Izanagi's Burden Sniper Rifle Catalyst can come from this. It is a random drop from the chest. It just kind of happens. You can still do the chest farming glitch. They haven't fixed it. It's the exact same as the first week. You just run down to the spawn area and then come back. And finally, you can get the ship. I did not get the ship in any of my attempts to open the chest, but I did have a few clanmates who were able to get it. It is a very nice looking ship. I don't have any pictures or anything of it, but I think you can inspect it now that the Heroic Menagerie has become available. And overall, I just think this is a great event. I'm glad that Bungie was even able to up the tier of the Menagerie, which has definitely been one of my favorite Horde mode activities. But if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, as well as comment any questions or anything you may have, and I'll see you later.